Intolerable. Just intolerable. For 3 years, those casters of pods have thwarted my plans. I, Mephisto, simply don't know why I bother. Maybe some streaming will cheer me up. Oh, these cartoons don't belong together. First, giant transforming robots, then colorful ponies? Bah, it's enough to drive one mad. Wait, that's it. First, I'll drive them mad with the most insane, diabolical, cockeyed crossover comic ever. Finally, they will be mine.
Autobots,
My very best friends.
Welcome, dear listener, to our podcast. Jeff and Rick present Equine and Engine Enlightenment,
where we journey through an issue of My Little Ponies and Transformers while drinking beer.
Pondering ponies and Porsches while pounding pints.
I am Jeff.
I am Rick.
I am John.
And I am Maggie.
And I am Random Master, your guide to the realms of random banter. Random banter time, buddies! Talk to me, tell me tall tales and tantalizing tidbits of trivia today!
So I'm guessing that that's one of the characters from My Little Ponies?
No,
that was like
okay.
It's the Dungeon Master from Dungeon Master. It was like a variant of him where he'd been drinking nothing but Surge and Mountain Dew and Jolt for like 72 hours while he's running it, and he's coming out. Here he goes, yeah, Vorpal Sword.
It is the intro from the old Dungeons and Dragons cartoon.
I need to rewatch that. I've got the DVDs in my closet, and I've been wanting to rewatch them. I just have not found the time to.
Well, luckily, you know two people who do a podcast about cartoons.
Mm-hmm.
And who also play D&D, so perhaps.
Sure.
Still waiting for that ringy-dingy, guys.
Perhaps.
And I watch cartoons and play D&D. I don't know anything about the subject, but why would I pick Dungeons and Dragons cartoon as the random banter intro? Any ideas?
Because it's the best thing ever?
That's pretty great.
Well,
pretty great.
It's a Saturday morning cartoon,
Yes.
and we're reading two comic books that are pretty much Saturday morning cartoons.
Yes. And?
Which are based on toy properties that were made by Hasbro. Also, the current owner of Wizards of the Coast, which is the maker of Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes. And?
Oh, how many more things do we need on here? I mean...
Dungeons and...
Dragons.
There's dragons. There's dragons.
And
there be dragons
there
here
be
with
dragons.
Man, I was way overthinking that.
I gotta tell you,
No, I love it. That was great.
I liked it.
No, you just put in a thing where I get to go, of course, I thought of that. No, I thought of dragons and I thought of old cartoon properties. So I love what you added to that. That's wonderful.
Hooray.
Well, as you know, as you're have gathered here, we have Maggie and John from Married Watching Cartoons and Rodpod and Transformers Chronicles, and I don't know, they guest star in a bunch of stuff. You hear their voices a bunch of places.
Lately.
They keep letting John in the door, and he keeps on saying things, and, you know, everyone's like, hi, Maggie, and she's like, well, yeah, I guess I'll show up and keep him in line. I don't know, whatever. How are you guys doing?
Well, since we're both here, we're doing calm, collected, and not prone to yell at expletives or take off my pants.
You can take off your pants. That is perfectly fine.
You heard it, he said.
The camera's up here. The camera's up here. So pants off, not a problem. What happens below the camera? We ain't talking about it. It's Vegas, baby.
And podcasts. So perfect medium for guests to take their pants off.
Right. See?
We're sorry, Maggie. We're sorry, Maggie.
Thank you for listening to the Pants Off Network.
And this is like our annual tradition where we are jumping onto each other's podcasts because Mephisto gets a crazy idea in his head, and we talk about random comic books. And this year, a little bit different this year, but we've got 4 episodes. We don't have Secret Wars and Beyond, but we do have Episode 1, which is Married Watching Cartoons. Episode 2, which you're listening to, Unpacking the Power of Power Pack. Episode 3, Resurrections, and Adam Warlock and Thanos podcast. And our new person that joined our little gang, Episode 4, Outcasters, with Tim Price. And this time we are doing My Little Ponies and Transformers, Friendship is Magic.
Friendship in disguise.
Friendship in
Friendship in
disguise.
disguise. Man, I see, this is what happens when I'm going off of Comixology and not my physical comic books that I spend cash money on and are over at somebody else's
Real cash
house.
money. Dollars.
So weird.
Dollars. Thank you guys for jumping through dimensional portals and space bridges to come and join us. This is a treat. And this time, Jeff has joined us, so you can actually meet him. That has not happened before. So,
Oh,
Yeah, it's been nice.
it's nice
so
for the
far.
company.
There's still time.
The check, the check
night
hasn't
is
quite
young.
cleared yet. But we'll see.
Yeah, the night. The night is young and we are not.
well, Maggie is, and that's
I was
just
actually going to
fine.
say that's a sentence
just
that
fine.
becomes less relevant as of next Sunday.
Ooh, somebody's got a birthday
I
coming?
do.
Ah.
Aw.
Well, happy in advance birthday, which will
you.
be in the past by the time this comes
Yes.
out. Man, time is hard.
Well, by the
Wibbly wobbly,
Time is so
timey
weird.
wimey, goes doing their stuff.
we've got a lot to talk about. We've got one issue that's got 2 stories in it. We can sit here and chat, but I don't think we need to. I think we can just go and dive on into this and see what happens with the insanity and loveliness that is this comic book. Does anybody else have anything they have to get off their chest?
I just want to say real quick that I love Tim's transformation from dude we just asked to do something for us, and now he's got a podcast and he's like a part of the crossover officially. I think that's wonderful.
Right.
It's a Cinderella story.
I still think it's kind of odd, though. I mean, what does he have to do with Mephisto?
Haven't made that connection yet, have you?
You never see them in the same room at the same time.
All right.
Wait a minute.
That's right.
Wait a minute. Is Tim Price Clark Kent?
Yes.
I've never seen the two of them together.
It still is one of my proudest moments in life when I just said, hey, this random guy wants to join our fun little adventure. He doesn't have a podcast. What can he do? Give us a voice of Mephisto. I don't know what he sounds like.
That's the kind of quality content you'll get with us. Hey, Rando.
The rest of us figured Rick knows what he's doing. He must know the guy.
Oh, you fools. You.
Rick
naive
has one
fools.
talent. Rick has one talent which he exploits every day, and that is I delegate. I delegate well. Let's move on to this. Jeff, give us a 2 cents replay of what happened in the last issue, I guess.
Queen Chrysalis summons changelings from another dimension to help her in her conquest of Equestria, which means the denizens of Cybertron come knocking at her door where, surprise, surprise, the Autobots join up with the ponies and the Decepticons join up with Chrysalis' evil crew. After the crossover gets going in full swing, personal favorite RC and fashionista Rarity bond over kicking the tin out of the cans of the trio of Seekers and over their mutual respect over each other's inherent goodness and general awesomeness. Now that the transforming into a car doesn't really help you blend in on Magic Horse Planet, but that's okay, as most ponies won't judge them for being different. 2-sentence replay is over. Why don't you give me a beer and tell us what our Power Pack pick is?
My pleasure, my friend. I didn't get a real chance to go out and find a beverage because, well, we moved the scheduling around and so I just didn't have a chance. But I was managed to look into my collection of beers and I found something that, you know what, I think it'll work. So Jeff, if you can reach inside that magic paper bag that I dropped over at your house the other night and tell me what you find.
What Rick is saying is close enough is good enough. Da-da-da. It's just a silver stripe because, shoop, I need to turn it. It is Photon Pale Ale by Equilibrium Brewery. That is Dark Side of the Moon awesome. That has got a Erlenmeyer flask in space with a beam of pure white light going into it and a rainbow shooting out. How magical. How scientific in space. And how pony-like if you use the equa out of equilibrium. I think it's great. It's rainbows and sparkles. It's everything cool in space. It's a Cybertronian space gate, and it's going into... that Erlenmeyer flask seems to have a horseshoe on it, too.
Yes, it does. It does have a little horseshoe on it. Yes, it does.
That's legit.
Yeah. I saw the you're right on the equilibrium. I saw the equal. I'm like, equestrian. I can get there. It's got the rainbow of magic. It's got the little bit of space and science part and photon. I mean, there's a lot of photon beams that are being shot in this. So I thought, yeah, I like this. That was what I chose.
There's probably a pony named Photon. I would be surprised if there's not. Or a Transformer.
Yeah.
If it was Transformer naming, it would be Photon Wave or Photon Blast.
But that's what we've got. I would like to find out what our fellow friends on the other halfway across the country, have for their drink of choice.
Oh, can I go first?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the most colorful thing I've ever seen. It is called Puff Tart, and it is raspberry and pineapple. Oh, it's the Brewing Project, and it's a local beer too. And it's
nice,
very fruity tooty. If there's booze in Equestria, this is what Pinkie Pie drinks.
I'm pretty sure.
For sure.
That is not a lie. That is not a lie.
Can I try that?
Yeah, absolutely. Go for it.
Oh, man.
Right? That's about as sweet as it can get and still be called beer.
That seriously tastes like a sweet tart, but it's definitely beer.
Yep.
That it's not like a cider.
It's kind of reminiscent of like, what's it called? What's Liney's?
Oh, like their berry
the
vice?
berry vice. Yeah, it's kind of like the berry vice,
it's-
but it's even sweeter than that.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's got a tart.
That's something.
I can't see drinking more than 4 or 5 of those.
Go ahead with your
I can't see more than putting a 12-pack of those down in a sitting.
You see, here in Wisconsin, we heard that we lead the nation in binge drinking. We also learned that binge drinking is apparently drinking 3 or more drinks in a setting. And so we here in Wisconsin are also confused as to what other people think binge drinking is.
We are a class all our own. That's true.
So I was going to just say that our beer, Photon, is our light and crushable American pale ale loaded with Pacific Northwest hops, pours a very hazy orange, releasing well-blended notes of apricot, tangerine, peach, mango, and pineapple. It tastes of soft, juicy tropical fruits, hop resins, and a hint of biscuit. A smooth, rounded bitterness with a touch of dryness ensures you're ready for the next sip. The drinking experience is further enhanced with a soft and billowy mouthfeel that has made this the go-to ale for the EQ crew, especially when a productive day needs to follow a fun night. Now, this is a lot of promise. I have no idea if it's going to lead up to it, although I will say it does pour a very hazy orange. And it's my favorite kind of pour where I can look through it and I can't see Jeff, which is awesome.
Pours a very giant head on it. I poured mine. I'm like, I've got 2 inches of beer and I've got a potentially overflowing head on mine. So I'm waiting for mine to become drinkable before I try it. But
I'm jealous of yours after seing mine.
Yeah, mine. It has a nice smell. It has it's almost a kind of like a hopped pineapple aroma to it.
What do you got there, John?
I have brought, in keeping with the theme of the baking show as best I could, I got a bottle of Eagle banana bread beer from our friends across the pond in the UK. I can't read that because I am older than both of the properties than we are covering today. So I don't know.
Would you like me to try to help?
Yeah, go ahead.
What am I looking for here? Hang on. Oh boy, that's hard to read just in general. Flavored malt beverage. That's something. To this day, Eagle Brewery embraces different perspectives. It means that while others may move cautiously, we soar fearlessly. There you go. Fresh bananas pack a whole bunch of aromas, while rich malty hops deliver a seriously fruity flavor, all perfectly balanced by a masterful blend.
Yes. This is what's going to get them out of Brexit. They are going to...
Banana bread beer.
Right.
Yes, that's the ticket.
The taste of this is quite pleasant. This is it's got that fruity taste, very nice feel, doesn't have a lot of hops, which is nice and kind of amazing from something this hazy. But it is just a pale ale, not an IPA. It's good. It's quite good. I actually like it. It's a little refreshing.
I'm finding it kind of like yeasty flavors is what I'm getting out of it.
I'm not getting that.
It might just be kind of a blend of the mildness of the hops, but I'm kind of getting that yeasty kind of on the tongue, kind of tangy kind of thing, which could be the hops and could just be me.
I think it's just you. I think you're sick.
This literally tastes like a piece of banana bread mushed up in a bottle.
Can I try?
Yes.
Is that good or bad for you?
It's oddly, it's not unpleasant. It's not too hoppy. It's very yeasty, but the banana flavor is there.
That's actually quite good.
And the aftertaste is is really pleasant, which is usually what ruins this sort of thing for me, is actually pretty pleasant.
I think we've got some very good beers. And you said yours is very sweet. I think we've got some good beers that match up with what we're talking about. We can get into the opening credits if you guys want.
Yay! Here's Pat.
My favorite part, the credits.
Everybody loves reading. My Little Pony, Transformers, Friendship in Disguise, issue number 2, September 2020. Inspiring. Credits. Written by Ian Flynn. Drawn by Sarah Pitry Droucher. Colored by Joanna LaFuente. Edited by Megan Brown.
Featuring Spike, a dragon and Twilight's royal advisor, Grimlock, a Dinobot, Devastator, a Constructicon combiner composed of Scrapper, Bone Crusher, Scavenger, Mixmaster, not to be confused with Sir Mix-a-Lot as I did in my own head, Hook and Long Haul.
There comes a time in every little dragon's life where he comes face to face with their own reality, and this may or may not be that story.
But this does start off with Spike writing a letter on a piece of parchment with a quill to Twilight Sparkle while standing in front of Teletron 1. First, that is one big computer. Second, I'm pretty sure Spike has never seen a computer before.
That's okay, because Teletron 1 has probably never seen a dragon before either.
Spike is providing us, the reader, as well as Twilight Sparkle, with the 411 about the Autobots.
And let me tell you, Spike is one heck of an unreliable narrator. He does nothing but gush about how cool the Autobots are.
Well, hang on. Well, what are you saying?
John, just don't engage. At best, he's just clickbaiting you.
Moving on, there is someone else that's in the base with the dragon, and it's Grimlock, my favorite.
Yeah, he's a personal favorite of mine, too. It seems to be just Grimlock and Spike and Teletran 1 on the Ark, and Spike has questions, and Grimlock has answers.
Questions like, how did you get to be so cool?
Grimlock, already strongest Autobot, makes sense to also be greatest dinosaur.
And where are the other Autobots?
Other missions. This is fine. Grimlock enough to protect Ark.
Also, but what if there is an attack?
Then Grimlock protect base.
And where do you hide all of your cheese?
All right, hang on. First, Tim is not here, so that question did not get asked. And second, why does Maggie get to be Grimlock?
John, Tim is like the Force. He surrounds us and binds us. So the cheese question was in fact implied. Also, we might have found a better voice for you to do later. Maybe.
And you like her more than me.
Well, that was implied as well.
Spike, having as much self-confidence as John, is impressed with his big friend, but is alarmed when an alarm goes off alarmingly.
Breep, breep.
Have no fear, the Constructicons are here. The green Tonka toys are rapidly approaching the base, and they aim to misbehave.
Spike, being new to this 4 million year long fight, believes that things that build should be good, but is informed the opposite. These builders are bad robots.
Bite your tongue. These guys are the bee's knees. They are superstars. They are the best around, and nothing is going to keep them down.
Except for maybe a giant robotic dinosaur transformer with the biggest ego on the planet.
Spike swoons as he gazes up at Grimlock.
Outside, the gang of green gangsters, acting on a tip that the Ark is deserted, prepare to create a brand new parking lot for the Autobots by leveling their home.
Me, Grimlock. Grimlock here. Grimlock, stop you.
You are having way too much fun with this.
Best day of my life.
Wait, best day?
And back to the story. Spike shows up to offer his help as Grimlock starts kicking all the tin out of the cans of these Deceptic creeps, and then moves on to standing on the toppled construction equipment like Godzilla at Dozer days.
Grimlock continues to taunt the Constructicons, which leads them to do the thing that they do, which is combine into Devastator.
For those that are not in the know, the 6 construction vehicles / robots can combine into a giant robot that is a personal favorite of mine who really likes to juggle smaller robots while telling them to prepare for extermination.
Grimlock is strong, tough, powerful, and a bit full of himself, but he does recognize when he is outmatched.
Spike, on the other hand, is like that small friend who keeps on egging on the fight at the bar when the other guy's gang shows up swinging chains. You know, that guy.
Devastator smashes our favorite Dino Boy into the ground with one solid punch, followed by a kick to the moon.
Spike watches this in shocked silence, then runs back into the Ark. He picks up some books on operating Teletran 1 and a primer on Cybertronian translation.
And after a crash course that would impress Neo in the Matrix, the little dragon starts to type in a program on the main computer.
The large screen informs us that a main engine cycle is commencing, and Spike keys the mic to inform Grimlock that he is about to drop some sick beats.
Outside, mid-stomp, Devastator hears a strange noise coming from the thrusters of the Ark ship. The thrusters pointed right at his face.
Whoosh.
The now charred and disassembled robots fall to the ground and quickly retreat. Spike checks on his good buddy.
Grimlock is impressed. While Spike laments that he should have done more, Grimlock points out that Spike taught himself a new language and learned how to program a computer and thought about using the engines as a weapon.
And Spike knows how to use pronouns.
And as the praise continues, Spike falls to the ground, glowing with the pride that Grimlock called him inspiring.
Aww.
And now on to the next story.
They eat ponies, don't they? Credits. Written by Sam Maggs, drawn by Casey Collar, colored by Joanna LaFuente, and edited by Megan Brown.
And featuring Pinkie Pie, Party Planner and Baker Extraordinaire, Gage, an Autobot, Shockwave, a Decepticon.
Welcome to the Great Pony Bake-Off.
Close, but no Seabiscuit. Here we are on a cooking show soundstage, complete with an audience of ponies, and the great Pinkie Pie.
Welcome to Preppin' with Pinkie.
Yay!
Woo!
And Pinkie has a special guest star. Not me.
Get over it, dude.
Oh, I could have had a chance on that show, but stupid Transformers trumped me.
He's so sensitive about this. It's one of the reasons he does not like Gage.
Speaking of which, the young Transformer joins the pony on stage as Pinkie explains that this is part of a new cultural exchange program on Equestria, kind of like what we do every year.
Luckily, we are not doing a recipe exchange. I do not think we should be exporting Jeff's friendship flapjacks to Minnesota. The world just does not need that much gluten.
On Preppin' with Pinkie, the pink pony pleasantly pronounces the produced pastry for the parlay. Multiple cupcakes.
Gage, obviously nervous about being on camera for the first time, is gear-locked in stage fright mode, but is able to focus once given some advice from Pinkie. Imagine the audience in their underwear.
Aren't the ponies all naked anyways?
Quiet you, this is a kid's show.
The Metal Marvel makes her mandible move and manages to mumble a message, iron filling casserole with energon reduction.
Just like Mom used to make.
The look of disgust we have is matched by the look of all the ponies in the audience.
As Pinkie tries to move the show along, a massive rumbling occurs in the studio. This is not part of the show. A space bridge appears and suddenly Shockwave is there.
Oh no!
Guys, it's all right. Shockwave's here to join the cultural exchange. He wants to participate in the show.
Oh, whew, well, that's a relief. I always took him as an analytical, stone-cold psychopath. So, what's he gonna make?
Chopped up pony for Energon.
What?
He leaps at Pinkie and Gage, ready to make some horrible type of pony dessert. Pinkie and Gage react and dodge before Gage smashes a baking pan around Shockwave's head.
Clang.
Shockwave, now suffering a serious concussion, is momentarily distracted while the audience takes 5 and our two heroes bicker over who's going to save who.
Shockwave continues the assault with his energized weapons, a spork and spatula.
You go with your bad self, Shockwave.
Gage rips off those weapons of mass cooking while pushing the robot backwards over Pinkie Pie's outstretched hoof.
Trip.
And while Shockwave is off balance, Gage grabs some pans and tosses one to the pony, and on 3...
Slam.
Boot to the face.
Pan to the face, dear.
Right. Boot and hoof to the chest.
And that is enough to tumble the purple perpetrator back into the space bridge.
The remaining ponies in the audience take a moment and then break into applause.
47 minutes later.
The set has been cleaned up and the tasty treats are back on the table. After a bit of preamble by Pinkie, she and her guests take a bite of each other's food.
Nom nom nom.
At that moment, the horse and robot realize they both have made poor life decisions, and in what they've chosen to eat. The end.
And that is our comic, folks. So now let's get into, the themes are, let's talk about some of the things we want to talk about this issue. And we'll start with the Power Pony packaging. Now, there's two covers. There's a regular cover, and then there's the retailer incentive cover. Let's talk about the regular cover. That's got Spike and Grimlock on it. What do you guys think about these covers?
Oh, I love the cover. As soon as I saw the two of them like spouting flame, unfortunately, it's not something that actually happens in this story, just something I harp on continuously. But it's still awesome. It's still a really cool cover. I love all the colors. It's so colorful.
It is great. These comics have all been just like, do you like colors? Here they are. Do you like vibrancy? We've got that too. Do you like those blended together and like a kind of a wizard on a side of a van or on a peachy or on a big puffy sticker or something? Throw that in there as well. Just put it in a blender and stir it up into a giant, unicorn themed Starbucks beverage that makes the people that prepare it weep. But it works. It works really well.
And we should say too that this one with Spike and Grimlock, this is done by Tony Fleeks. It just has that feeling of Saturday morning cartoon. They really have captured the essence of a cel-drawn animation style. Very much action. You see kind of a swoosh of Spike flying around Grimlock. It's weird. You can't see Devastator, but it's like there's two Devastators going on there. Or we're looking through Devastator's legs. I don't know quite what's going on there with Devastator. It's kind of funky there, but you see Devastator's legs and they're blowing flames at them, and it's a thing.
Yeah, I agree. I was going to say exactly that about they really get the cell animation now, just in case you're under any sort of confusion as to what's going on with this. I mean, this is a rather unlikely crossover. It's both an obvious one in that they're both Hasbro properties, but they're these properties. And this one actually draws them in a way that shows, I guess they could work. They both have, fire-breathing dinosaur dragon type things. Let's go with this.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of the wrong pairings of combinations, the retailer incentive cover is done by Casey Collar and Joanna LaFuente. And this one is Pinkie Pie versus Shockwave. And this is on the set of the baking show. There's like some cupcakes and a cake down there. And there's a bunch of like baking or like sweets behind them. And you got Pinkie Pie up in the air, just has launched a pie into Shockwave's Cyclops-like face, and she's holding another pie ready to go, and Soundwave is saying, illogic, and getting a splat on there.
Yeah, illogic splat.
I want this as a poster to put in my room. This is awesome.
It's pretty sweet.
Casey Collar and Joanna LaFuente are probably my favorite of the modern artist colors teams. They do a lot of the IDW Phase 2 stuff that we cover. And I love the way he does they do robots. And this is just great.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Pie to the face, Shockwave. Like, honestly, and in my opinion, Shockwave's scarier than Megatron in a lot of ways. So a pie to the face of Shockwave is very satisfying.
Right. I'm sure we'll get to it later, but he picked the wrong of the ponies to try to mess with.
Yeah.
you picked the wrong baking show to mess with today, mister. Which is not something you hear very often.
No, I agree with you. I would put them up in this type of art style up there with Gurihuru. I think Gurihuru is the other one that can bring this level of just joy and fun and cartooniness to anything that they draw, and I think it's wonderful.
It's fun, it's neat, and throughout this series they've been having different artists do the different things, and so it's interesting to see kind of the take where sometimes it's kind of a soft, kind of very cartoony Transformers look, and other times it's like they do Shockwave great. These are great looking Shockwave pictures.
Yeah, Casey Collar I follow him on Twitter, and he puts some of his sketches up sometimes, and he does a lot. He'll put up things of commissions that he does. He's definitely grew up watching the 80s cartoon while reading the 80s comic book, and he kind of blends the best aspects of both of those and puts a modern twist on it. I love looking at his stuff. And they really got the pony down too. That looks exactly like Pinkie Pie.
Absolutely. The art throughout is entirely consistent. Everyone looks like they look, and it's great art no matter what. There's not a bad panel in the thing. I looked. There's not.
Let's get into the book itself and talk about some things. We've started to already. Grimlock and Spike, great choice together.
It's so
Absolutely.
good.
It shouldn't work, and yet it's so kind of also one of those things like, well, of course it's going to work.
Two favorite stories in this series, and Spike and Grimlock is one of them.
Yeah, that's fair. It's a blast seeing the big dumb beast just sitting there, and he's all emotion all the time, and here is a little tiny thing that's all emotion all the time. And it works. It really works well together.
Yeah, it's actually the first Spike-centric story that I really like. In the My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, the Spike episodes aren't necessarily my favorite ones. I like the pony stories. Give me the ponies. That's what I'm there for. But in this, with him and Grimlock, and I think it does help that they kind of softened Grimlock up a little bit to actually be really adorable and sweet.
He's so good with Spike.
He's wonderful.
I love his interaction with him because it's like, you know, Grimlock. Grimlock is, me, I'm Grimlock. Me, I'm king. And there you go. It's just like, me want to munch metal. He's aggression. He's like pure aggression. And then to see him just kind of like taking a beat, sitting down with a little buddy and just going, hey.
I love that and they still managed to give us the action too. We got Grimlock versus Devastator. That's not something we've ever seen before.
So
We've
nice.
seen the Dinobots all take on Devastator in the movie a number of times, but just Grimlock straight up versus Devastator. I used to do that with my toys, mostly because I only had him as a Dinobot. But
that's cute.
I guess that would be the next question is, you guys are the experts on Transformers. Jeff, you love Transformers.
I do.
Maggie, you are a fan of Transformers. Who's your guys' favorite combiner?
Predaking.
Good choice.
And for those that don't know, what is Predaking made up of? What are the robots?
Predaking is made up of the Predacons, who are a group of they're Decepticons that transform into predatory animals, lions, tigers, a ram. There's like a hawk. I don't know their names offhand except for Razorclaw, who's the best one. In the cartoon, they were always faced off against the Dinobots because there was 1-for-1 against, but they had the advantage of being able to turn into Predaking. And he's always pushed in all of the media as being the ultimate hunter, that when he combines into Predaking, he becomes like this super predator thing.
Does he look like Predator? Does he get like the hair, heat vision?
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
That's good.
I thought I'd try.
I also like Combaticons, Bruticus.
Yeah.
Quite a bit.
Oh,
I like the way he physically looks.
Mm-hmm. Bruticus is cool.
Maggie, do you have a favorite one, or you just kind of going along with the ones that?
No, I always have an opinion. I would have to say I'm not super up on my combiners, but I do quite like Defensor because I like the robots who make him up, which would be, Ratchet and Red Alert, not Ratchet. Red Alert and First Aid. No?
First Aid.
Wait, who's Ambulon a part of?
No one.
No one? Is that just an IDW Phase 2 thing? He's just the leg? So then actually, I guess I don't have an answer. I don't have an opinion.
Well, it sounds like you like the Technobots.
Yeah, well, yeah.
No,
like
Technobots are somebody else.
Oh, no, that's like Perceptor, right? It's one of those.
No, the Technobots were their own thing too, and there were the Seacons.
Yeah.
Part of the problem is that there are so many Transformers, and they all do different things.
Yet all kind of do the same thing.
In so many variations.
No, they turn into a big thing and then run at the other one, and then the good one wins.
I like Menasor. I can say that.
Menasor
cool. Terrifying.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
The Stunticons. Yeah, those are all good choices. I love Bruticus. I love the aerial bots too. I love Superion. But I think my continual default one that I go to is Devastator. I love the big green machine. He's so awesome. I love the fact that he was kind of the original combiner and kind of the first one with like a cohesive color scheme. I also like the fact that in the comics at one point Spike Witwicky kills Scraper, and that's their leader. Devastator still needs him to be there so that he can maneuver around and do stuff. Scraper is dead. So Devastator has a dead right leg that they drag around. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. They also at one point were like, we need a new leader, and they stole Prowl and put Prowl into a leader. It kind of combined with them, and because Prowl is so logical and analytical that it really calmed Devastator down, because Devastator is 6 voices screaming at the top of their lungs at each other. The fact that they can do anything is just like, it's the default setting is to punch it because they're just angry and they're all trying to take charge. But when Prowl got in there and took charge, they were just like, wow, we can think. This is peaceful. We like this. This is nice. And they kind of like formed a relationship with Prowl, or they're like,
and Prowl in the IDW verse is the worst.
Oh yes.
I mean, I love to hate him so much.
Yeah, they covered that pretty good with the Wreckers stuff.
I definitely would go Devastator too, because as a kid, I want to say 4 out of the 6, which just always hurt me. I wanted the rest of them. I wanted them all, but trying to convince my parents that I needed those other two, they're like, well, you've got the rest of them. Why do you need those? Because they combine.
Yeah.
Blink, blink. But you got the four there. Why do you need the other?
You got two arms. You got arms and legs. You don't need a torso.
Yeah, so just I didn't have all of them, and it just hurt. And so, as an adult with disposable income, they re-released them. Like, yes, I want this because I must have them finally together.
My brother had all of Devastator. I had 3/5 of Superion and two Protector bots, so I could make a Superion Defensor hybrid thing.
Very nice. Is there anything else that anybody wants to say about the first story, about just how awesome it was to watch a dinosaur kick Devastator, which we always see?
It is so good.
It was very cool.
It was great.
So good.
Well, if nobody's done anything else, let's go ahead and talk about the second story, which is they shoot ponies, don't they? Which, has anybody seen the movie They Shoot Horses, don't they?
I must have at some point.
Okay. It's very, very depressing. It's extremely depressing. It's really sad. Jane Fonda film from the late 1960s. It's a good film. It's just really, really sad. So the fact that they named it that, I started laughing hysterically. I just okay, that's funny. That's a good joke. I like that. Let's see where this goes. And I love this story. I love slapstick. Let's talk about slapstick comedy. That's what makes this one work for me. I love it. I love the fact that they are using frying pans and dishes.
And tripping.
Shockwave is there with a spatula and a spoon.
He's got a cheese grater and a
energized.
whisk as well. He's got his kind of energon hands. He can transform them into different things. Normally it's a right hand is a hand, left hand is a blaster. And this time it's cheese grater, whisk, spatula, a spork.
It's just ridiculous. What are your guys' thoughts on this? On using this level of slapstick in this comic? I mean, it's a silly concept to begin with, but it seems like this story takes it over the top.
I think it really worked for this story, both because of the subject matter of the story. If you're threatening them with getting eaten, that is actually not usually the threats that the ponies are dealing with in their show. So I was like, whoa, that's a little dark for this, but then to immediately go over the top this because, it's Pinky. And it's a Pinkie Pie centered episode. It's everybody goes slapstick. I mean, you said about Pinkie Pie is the closest of them to an actual cartoon.
Ah, yes. She is borderline toon. And you can't beat a toon, not even Shockwave. Pinkie wins. I think it was very appropriate for Pinkie Pie. If she's going to handle someone like Shockwave, it's going to be with whatever she's got around her. Very drunken master kind of style. But yeah, pots and pans and stuff that's in the kitchen on the set that she's at, and manages to keep the whole audience safe from Shockwave, which is also impressive because they didn't leave.
Some of the audience left. They do have a picture in here where, it's just kind of like, oh, Shockwave's here and there's a fight going on and some people are, Gage is pointing to an exit and they do show a bunch of ponies running to the door. But there's still enough left. The rounding of Shockwave's head, because it gets nice and circular like a coin after it gets smacked in the front and the back with the frying pan.
I'm not as much of an expert on the Transformer characters, especially once we get a Gen 1. Talk to me about Gage.
Oh, I'm actually not as familiar with Gage either. Gage is new in the most recent Transformers comic, which is a brand new continuity, which is after the ones we're doing. It's a complete reset. But Gage is a young Transformer, and I think RC is his mentor. There's a whole plot about young Transformers in that. It starts out with they're only allowed a certain amount of them to be born every year, and they're born like that, and they're much more simple looking like he is, and as they get
Gage is actually a female.
Yeah, I wasn't even sure.
Oh, okay.
But so as she gets older, she starts adding on things to the chassis as she starts to develop her own thing. But I don't really know much about her. Obviously, I didn't even know the gender of the.
Yeah, I think she was a IDW creation.
Yeah, I know she's from the new IDW comic. There was another young character named Rubble. That was first did, and I read it for a while up until the fact that they horribly killed Rubble off, and I was like, I don't know if I want to read this. So I haven't read any more of it yet, but I guess Gage was the next one that they made to replace the dead one.
Okay, now that we're in a depressing place here, Gage was okay in this one. Little vanilla. It was really hard to. Wow, I was going to say this. I'm going to go ahead and say Gage, her character, she's a good straight woman for Pinkie Pie, I guess you might say.
Literally anyone would. Frickin' Robin Williams and his peak would wind up being the straight one end of Pinkie Pie.
Gage was fine. She could have been replaced by anybody, and it would have worked just as fine. This could have been a good Bumblebee story. Could have been. You could have had anybody. It would have been fine.
Although I think it does work better with a little bit more of an unknown, because we got Shockwave and we got Pinkie Pie. Do we need another A-lister or even B-lister to come in? Not knowing Gage that well, Gage might actually be a higher list, but I mean, for G1 fans that are looking at this, and when I'm looking at this, I'm really thinking it really in the eyes of Generation 1, old school Transformers cartoon. That's just the feeling I get, because I'm, like I said, this is a brother and her sister in the 80s crashing their toys together. Here's another question for you guys. What snack would you make on TV if you got the opportunity to go onto a show like this?
Ooh.
Handful of Reese's Pieces.
Solid.
Actually, I'd probably make chocolate chip cookies that I really like to make. The trick is I use a miniature M&Ms, so mini M&Ms, and I use about 2 to 3 times the amount that the recipe calls for. And the amount of vanilla that goes in also is kind of multiplied up by about the same amount, and they turn out really, really nicely.
All right.
Ooh.
I've got a family pizza recipe that's pretty good. I can throw that together in a pinch. I'd probably do that. Unless it was the British baking show and I was on it. Then I would like cook them comfort food and blow their British minds. It's like, here's some spices, you guys.
Prior to recording the show tonight, my family was watching the newest season of British Baking Show. We are caught up with watching it every Friday when it comes out. And that's our...
No spoilers.
That's our thing that we do. It's bread week, too. So, yay!
Oh, Paul Hollywood's favorite. Yeah, if I was going to do a snack, I'd probably do a rhubarb crisp.
I like crisps. They're good.
Yeah, there was a weekend this past summer. John's dad gave us
So much rhubarb.
a metric ton of rhubarb. And I made 3 rhubarb crisps in one weekend, one of which went to work with me. It was good. I made an apple crisp that weekend, too. So I made 4 crisps. But I would do something like that. It was very tasty and very sweet. I think Pinkie Pie would like it.
What other parts of this little comic or this story do you guys want to talk about? Because, I mean, we haven't even talked about how frightening it would be to face Shockwave anywhere.
Oh, Dark Alley. Yeah, that's the one you least want to meet. Is Shockwave for sure.
We're about to, on the Rod Pod, cover the story arc that deals with how Shockwave got the way that he is. It is one of the most creepy and tragic stories ever. And since we read it, we basically can't stop thinking about Shockwave.
Yeah.
So
it kind of permanently changes the way you see that character when you read his backstory. It creepy and tragic is exactly right.
I want this. I need this in my head now.
Yeah, it's wonderful, but so sad and really disturbing. It's pretty cool. We're looking forward to that one, and it's podcasting season, so we'll be getting to that.
yes.
He is more psychotic and disturbing than Megatron or any of the other Decepticons.
Well, he's just so much more ruthless.
Well, he's logical. He just cut everything off to just like logic says.
Right.
And he's the one character that really the Marvel comic book version of him is kind of treated as the iconic version going forward. Because on the cartoon, he wasn't really much anything. It was just, Megatron's toady who sat by the phone waiting for him to call. But in the comic, he's much more, they really go by the tech specs and his just ruthless logicalness. I mean, he overthrows Megatron a couple of times just because logic dictates he'd be a better leader, and so he becomes one. And he's just ruthless, and his plans are always the kind of, and then we'll wipe out all life on this planet, to get about a couple more minutes worth of gas for Cybertron or something like that. He's terrifying.
Okay.
I like Shockwave. My personal favorite as well.
Yeah, I like Shockwave too.
We like Shockwave, and we are terrified of Shockwave. So, yay!
Yeah, Shockwave is basically Spock as written by Tarantino.
Yeah.
I was trying to make a Spock analogy, and I'm like, no, because they did the thing with the part human side. But yeah, something about that. But yeah, Spock with Tarantino, absolutely.
Well, unless you guys have anything else to say, we can move on into the pony thoughts if you guys want. I mean, pony thoughts are always fun. This is where we look at various pieces of the books or the stories that we just went through, and we talk a little bit more about them. We're going to start with the barn door art. Let me tell you, I have fun taking our stuff and coming up with new ways to talk about it. So the barn door art, what piece of art in this book needs to be put on the barn door? And we always like to start with our jokes. Who wants to go with their backup joke one first? Does anybody have a good backup joke one they want to talk about?
All right, my joke backup is on page 7. So this is the first story. And this is Books for the Win.
I had this same one. I called it Cram Session.
Oh, nice. This is the panel that has Spike reading Modern Cybertronian for Everyday Conversations and Teletran 1 for Dummies. He's reading a couple of Cybertronian introductory manuals just to figure out how to operate Teletran 1. And it is just, he's got an intense look on his face. He's like, it's just like, the montage music time where it's just like, where people would be training, and this would just be showing him like reading a book and reading a book and reading a book. And there you go.
I had actually picked that one too. That was probably my favorite panel, is him reading those 2 books. I giggled so hard when I read that. Yeah, it's great.
It's so funny. It is so great.
John, did you have a good backup joke one that you wanted to talk about as well?
Yeah, my backup joke one is actually on that page there too. It's on the left-facing page with the theme. I call it Grimlock learn new limitations.
But that's okay. Grimlock is sturdy. Yes.
No, I do like it. It's just, it's the tiny arms not doing anything too, which is also good.
That's pretty great.
Yeah, this is a picture where Devastator is just doing a big ol' right fist into Grimlock's abdomen and knocking him into the dirt. There's a bunch of good funny ones in this one.
I know we already got my backup one. My top one is actually on the second story, and it's the second page of the second story, and it's what I call stage left.
Oh, that's fun.
So this is right after Pinkie Pie has introduced Gage, and she is pointing off to stage right. She's like, and here's Gage, and Gage comes out stage left. So I loved it because she's still pointing the opposite way, and she does her head swooshing around as she's seeing Gage come in from the other side. I found that to be very funny. I like it. It's the start of the good slapstick, and it's a good little piece of physical humor, and it's hidden in the back just enough where it's like, wait, what? Oh, okay. Maggie, do you have a good top joke one that you want to talk about?
My second one, because my first one obviously was with the books with Spike, because that was great. But I really do like, it's actually on the other page here, where Pinkie Pie says, that's great, Gage, it looks delicious. And Gage's response is just, I know. I like that too. I thought that was adorable.
Mine is a little bit, it's right after the one where it's on the page right after where Spike was reading the books and learning everything. It's the continuing adventures of Grimlock's lesson in humility. Mm-hmm. It's just where Spike has just said, Grimlock, I've got something to help. You've got 5 seconds. Get down. He's like, Grimlock can do that. Devastator's been presumably just stomping on him for the past page.
Poor Grimmy and poor Grimmy's ego.
Yes, he has. Grimlock needs to get slapped around from time to time. It's pecking order. You always got to do pecking order with Grimlock. So you always got to you got to be the alpha with him. Otherwise, he's just going to be like, well, I guess I'm in charge now.
Yes, it is what he does.
Oh no, Optimus died, because that's what Optimus does. That's his name. My name is Optimus. Oh, I died, Prime.
It's his superpower, okay?
Yeah, and then Grimlock goes, I'm in charge. What are you going to do? And it's like, no, it's not you. Yeah, it is. Oh, crud. Optimus is back. My top joke one is in the They Eat Horses, Don't They one. This is on the bottom right-hand panel of page 15, and I call it, And the Whisk of Doom. And this is when Shockwave is leaping at them, saying, discovering how much pony it takes to fuel one Decepticon, except he's got the cheese grater and whisk hands. And it is just hilarious to see anybody be attacked by those. especially, I'm like, yeah, cheese graters are kind of nasty, but a whisk.
Hey, you know what? They can beat you with a whisk.
I mean,
they can beat you with a whisk, and if you do what we do when we have...
If you've ever had like an electric mixer get away from you, though, they can do some damage.
It only happened to me one time. Just one time.
Yeah. I don't like to talk about it. That's been in my head. Frodo of the nine fingers.
And the Whisk of Doom. Yeah, that's where I got that from.
Then let's go ahead and talk about the best art. What is our top art that we want to place up on this barn door? Does anybody want to jump in here?
If I was going to pick a panel to have, it would have to be the one with Spike looking up at Grimlock transformed into his T-Rex form and his little hands on his cheeks. So cool.
It is
That would
super
be
cute.
I love the perspective because he's so small and Grimlock is very big and he's just completely starstruck by him. And it perfectly encapsulates those feelings there and really showcases how awesome Grimlock is.
Yeah.
So that is definitely my choice.
It is a good one. That's fun.
I'd go with the actually page 1, just because it has the thing that I always love to see and point out when I see it in the comics, and it's usually the role of the humans in the comics is to really set off the scale that we're talking about. It's often hard when it's just the Autobots or Decepticons hanging out together. It's sometimes easy to forget that these things are giant. And look at the size of Teletran here. I know that Spike's a little guy, but he's
That's a big computer.
But he's smaller than ponies, but ponies are fairly big. Well, they're small horses. That's a big freaking computer screen right there that Spike learns to use.
Well, later on, he's also crawling around on there doing the programming, and he's crawling across the keyboard. So that's something impressive as well.
He had to stack and climb the books that he was reading to get up to the keyboard, so that way he could bodily press each one. The keys are about the size of his torso. So
there's so many great little touches in this series. I love it so much.
This one's great too, just because I love the outer towner and the big city looking at all them tall dare buildings, kind of thing. It's just like wow. Wow. And he's just looking around. He's amazed by all of it because it's not what he's used to because he's from Ponyland.
I really gained a little bit of respect for Spike in this one because he the first thing he says is that he's entirely out of his element and he's completely okay with that. He's thrilled beyond belief to have a brand new experience in his very own adventure because his whole thing is not having a lot of confidence in himself. So it was a nice story for Spike.
That's good.
Since we're in this first story, I'll tell one of my backup ones here for best art is what I call Godzilla, and it's Grimlock standing over the knocked over Tonka trucks of the Decepticons, and he's just sitting there. There's something just absolutely toy-like and fun about it. It's the toys knocked over, he's just standing on them, and it's just this is right out of the toy world. I like that feeling that we're just playing with toys. That's all we're doing right now.
That's actually my top one. I call it Grimlock no bozo, me king. Yeah, but that is so good. Yeah, he's just trouncing the individuals, just trouncing the Constructicons, until they get their act together. So good.
Before we move on to the second story, does anybody else have any great art that they want to point?
I have my backup one still to do, which is on page. It's on page 15. It's the introduction of Shockwave, and it's just logic dictates victory, is what I call it. Because I love the way that they draw Shockwave in this. It's so good. And just anytime a bot walks in, it's a big robot, but they've got their hands behind their back, just walking in through a teleportation bridge, and it's just like, this guy means business. He looks super cool, but also, he's probably not a good guy walking into the room like that.
No, I like that one too. I was going to mention on this one here, my top good art in the second story was all the way near the end, and it was pans to the face, pans to the head, and it's this double shot slam of Gage and Pinkie Pie just hammering a Shockwave. It's beautiful. It's hilarious. It's funny, and it's just great art. And there's the action anime element to it. I love it.
Yeah, and Pinkie Pie with the smile and a wink as she's doing it too. That's great.
Does anybody else have one from the second story?
Mine was actually a Shockwave walking through too. I was desperately trying to find another.
Nice. So. No, we can share.
That's
the joy of.
I'm sensing a theme of some sort. All right.
And on those wonderful, wonderful, touching words, let's talk about some wonderful words. What are the transforming words? What are some of the best or funniest words that you guys found in here?
Probably going to see a lot of this combo come up, but my backup best words are Grimlock and Spike on page 2. Spike just talking about how awesome Grimlock is, and Grimlock goes, "Does Tiny Spike have any questions for Grimlock? How did you get to be so cool? Grimlock already strongest Autobot. Makes sense to also be greatest dinosaur. So cool." It's just Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it.
Oh, absolutely. And honestly, for me, I'd have to say it's got to be the conversation that they have at the end.
That's my top. That's my top.
For sure. I liked the first story a little more than I liked the second story. I liked the Spike and Grimlock one better than the Pinkie Pie Shockwave story. But that conversation with them at the end, just chilling and having some real talk and complimenting and kind of boosting Spike's confidence, I absolutely.
That was my top one, but specifically where the last line or the last sentence that Grimlock says on one of them, it's Spike used pronouns. That's what sold that one for me. Just that was the cherry on top of the entire thing right there. That's good.
Mine's all about just building Spike up and just talking about how great he is, and basically just saying Grimlock will always be Grimlock. Spike full of potential. It's just like, yeah, Grimlock is cool. Grimlock is what you see, but Grimlock is what you Grimlock. It's what you get.
Exactly.
The other one that I was going to mention was part of the image that we already talked about with between Gage and Pinkie Pie, where Pinkie Pie says, that's great, Gage. It looks delicious.
It's iron filings and energon reduction, and it's got gears in it. It looks like, when you go to like a you pull it place that's been there for a while. Oh boy, this is going to be toxic ground forever.
So is there any more words that anybody wants to talk about, top or backup or what have you?
I've just got two ties. I really like the bit. It has hit me well with the whole story in the second story where Gage is trying to get Pinkie saying, save yourself. I'll protect you. And he's like, I'm going to help. We'll take out this fool together. And that's always been the whole thing that in all of these stories, it's like, you got to have your team up, and Pinkie's brave as anything. And she's not going to let Shockwave take out her new friend. And the bit that actually just made me laugh out loud was the stage left, stage right bit. Because it went on two panels. It was there and it was amusing, but then how does that make any sense while they're fighting? I love that stuff.
With that said, let's go into Best in Show and Rusty Robots. We want to identify the characters who were the best and the worst in this issue. And that's not to say that the robot's the worst and the horse is the best. I just wanted to do Best in Show and Rusty Robots. So let's talk about the worst. Who's got the worst character in these two stories?
I'll give you a hint. They want to eat ponies.
So you say that Shockwave was the worst.
I'm saying Shockwave.
Okay.
That was going to be my choice too, with Shockwave.
I liked Shockwave a little bit more just because he entered in and he kept changing his weapons, and that endeared him with me just a little bit. You go in, you've got this blister pack full of all these add-ons. When else are you going to use them? So he's just put him on. I like that. I respect that. I actually went with Devastator. Devastator showed up and he did his business, but that was it. I was actually looking like I want to actually pick out who's maybe the worst Constructicon, but that was a 5-way tie because there's like 5 Constructicons that didn't say, no, 5 of them that didn't say anything. One of them said something.
Let me know.
Just like 5 of you didn't really show up so much. So I just went ahead and said that Devastator, he came and he did his business, but he came and did the one thing he always does, and that was it. There was no real panache to it. He just... So, that was my worst.
And he did go down by, a small cartoon dragon. So that's always embarrassing. That's embarrassing in the lunchroom later.
To be fair, I don't know if he really knew it, because all he knew is that he's standing there about to be successful, and then he got a face full of fire.
It was always burning.
He never really saw who started the fire, but let's talk about the best then. Who do we think the best? And I think I know your guys'. I may be the one that's different on this one.
Yes.
But let me know, who's your guys' best?
Grimlock.
We got one Grimlock. And why do you like Grimlock?
Oh, he showed such growth, such maturity. And bravery. Going up against Devastator all by himself was not something that was going to go well for him, but he sure as heck was going to try. And I got some respect for that. And again, that conversation between him and Spike at the end of the story, absolute perfection. So Grimlock for sure, best in show.
That's a good choice. I like that.
That's a good choice. And Grimlock does lead with his face.
He does.
I'm sure that the two other guys here are going to choose Spike. Am I right?
I am.
I'm choosing Pinkie Pie.
Okay, I am with John on Pinkie Pie. So, Jeff, talk a little bit about Spike then.
I like Spike. I like the fact that he was a stranger in a strange land and he wasn't freaked out about it. He immediately made some friends, he got a little hero worship, but he also realized even though he's not going to be able to go out and fight 6 giant robots and then a giant, he can use his brain and do some stuff. I liked his interaction with Grimlock. I liked his learning, the Cybertronian language and how to use Teletran 1 and, defeating Devastator and everything. I just thought, I liked Spike. I think Spike is great.
The next one, please.
That's fair. I do not disagree with either of those, but I know John and I have chosen Pinkie Pie.
You guys just want cupcakes. I know it. You're trying to get on the Pinkie Pie good side to get some of that sweet, sweet pumpkin spice latte cupcakes that she's going to be making this time of year.
Yeah.
And the problem with this is what?
That I'm not getting any because you guys are going to hog them all.
That's right, because Pinkie Pie likes us more because we chose her. This guy came in here and I thoroughly enjoyed just from the comedy standpoint and the perfect beats with Pinkie Pie doing her bit. And it's such Pinkie Pie and it's such over the top and it's so enjoyable. I just enjoyed just her entire interactions with Gage, the audience, and then Shockwave. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. John?
Pretty much the same. I did particularly like that she's there running her show, which she's obviously put a lot of work in. It probably didn't take her very long. I mean, she's always hopped up on something, so she got it done quick.
Cupcakes. Hopped up on cupcakes. Good show.
And she's ready to go. And the most terrifying Decepticon, not named Overlord, walks through the space bridge. And her immediate response is to hit him in the face with a pan. So I'm like, kudos to you. That is better than most Autobots manage to pull off when he shows up. They usually are too busy going, oh my God, it's Shockwave. And
that was Gage that hit Shockwave in the face with a pan, actually. Pinkie Pie tossed a towel at his face.
Still, that's more than most Autobots do.
That's true, except for Gage, apparently. Maybe it's just their lack of experience with him seems to have led to some sort of hopped up courage.
Well,
but
they do that. They do their double whammy.
That's right. I like that one.
Attacking with a towel, that takes some serious hooves.
Some D&D. You blind your opponent, now they have disadvantage on their defense. You have advantage on your attack with your pan. So
it's even easier to blind Shockwave. Dude only got one eye.
You only have to do half the work.
You're getting some great use out of towels and capes and various other things.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Pinkie Pie, if for nothing else, she knows where her towel is.
She's up on her Douglas Adams
42?
for sure.
Yeah.
Darn straight.
Yeah.
Soundstage 42.
Rick's pointing this out, and it's making me realize that My Little Pony is in the pocket of big textiles with their capes and their towels.
Wow, we've gone down a deep and dark hole, and there's only one way out of this hole, and that is through the magic of beer. Let's go ahead and bring this on to a rough landing and talk about our final thoughts on the beers that we have all brought to drink on this episode. So, Jeff and I have been drinking Equilibrium Photon. I don't know about you, Jeff, but I'm still enjoying this. This is still, for me, exactly the same as when we started. Poured a little bit in there. I'm still getting the nice head on the beer. It's got the really nice taste. It's very pleasant. I'm not getting that bitter, hoppy notes in there, at least when I'm drinking it. I'm enjoying this.
This thing continues to pour foam. You pour it and it just goes... It just completely froths up, which is why I had a little beverage accident earlier, because I was like, I'll top up my little drinky sippy cup, and it went... And then it went, and then it went, and it went, and then it played elephant toothpaste. And I'm like, son of a gun. Taste-wise, it's very similar to what it was at the beginning. It seems to have mild out in my tongue, or my taste buds have died off a little bit. I'm enjoying it more now than I was on my first sips. I am enjoying it. It's not the most amazing beverage that I've ever had, but for me, it's a good strong 3.5.
Oh, okay. I'm going to go ahead and go for the 4 on this one. I'm enjoying it a little bit more than you are, but that's perfectly fine. That's perfectly acceptable.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go ahead and go to the wonderful Maggie. Maggie, what are you finding about your beverage that you brought?
Yeah, so this puff tart that I got, which is an imperial sour ale with raspberry, pineapple, and marshmallow flavoring.
Dear God in heaven, that is...
Yeah.
My teeth hurt, and I'm like 7 states away from you or something.
Oh, every time I've taken a sip of this throughout, it's made my teeth pucker. It's quite the flavor. It's very...
What's that sound on the recording? That's Maggie's teeth whistling.
Yeah.
That's the sound of enamel screaming.
Yeah, it's something else. It is very tasty, but 1 is a limit for sure.
I want to try that. That sounds conceptually good.
It is, actually. It works. It's just very sweet. But if you're prepared for it, it's quite enjoyable.
I'm glad, because I picked it with the idea that it would be the most Pinkie Pie thing.
Well, and the Brewing Project, again, a local brewery here, that's kind of what they do, is they make interesting concoctions. They do things with their beers. It's their thing. So I'm happy with it. I liked it. It was a good choice.
All right.
You did well, John.
Hooray.
We did.
Written that one down.
Out of 5, we do Powerballs here, and I really can't go anywhere else with it. Oh, and we do accept halvesies here. How many Powerballs would you give it?
I'll do a 3.5.
Okay, all right. John,
What?
how do you like your banana bread?
Well, I drank the entire pint of it, and at 5.2% alcohol by volume. That might explain a little bit of my commentary toward the end of the episode, but it's not bad. There's a little bit of an aftertaste that is hovering between sour and bitter, which I don't know if multiple drinks of them would complicate that. But I imagine if that held on, I wouldn't want to drink any more of them. But otherwise, it was pretty pleasant as far as this sort of thing. It was a very understated banana. And I was just, the reason I kept drinking it is because it's hard to explain how a beer that tastes like banana works.
It's actually a very complimentary flavor, because the banana is pretty mild in that, and the beery flavor kind of comes through, and they work very nicely together. Yeah.
One of my favorite sours from Great Notion Brewery is their blueberry muffin. And it's a blueberry muffin sour, and every single one of those words is in that beer. It is a perfect sour. It tastes like a great sour, but you get finished taking a sip and you're like, I just ate a freshly baked blueberry muffin.
It's Willy Wonka.
What is happening with my world?
It's really good.
Oh,
That's what
yeah.
it is.
I'm going to try that thing. So I'm going to actually give this four Powerballs / Energon cubes /
4 Energon
whatever
cubes.
ponies use for currency. They're communists. We figured out.
Yeah.
Stay tuned to our show.
Of course they are. Of course they are. They have to be. Okay, well, it looks like she chose some good beers, which is fantastic because the adults on here drink beers.
And while the adults might drink beers, the children really shouldn't. And we should tell Carrie about that in the segment we called Kids Perspective. And that's where Rick talks to his daughter Carrie about the issue we just covered. So, Rick and Carrie, please take it away.
Hello, Carrie.
Hello, Daddy.
How are you this fine Sunday?
Good?
Awesome. Let's hear. We just got done playing a whole bunch of Stardew Valley because, it's a Sunday, right?
Yeah. Sunday Valley?
Sunday Valley? Stardew Valley? Sunday? All right, anyways.
It works.
So we are here to not talk about Stardew Valley. We're here to talk about, a crazy, crazy comic book, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
What did you think about this entire premise of My Little Ponies and Transformers?
Well, I thought it was a very cool combination because I think, like what I heard you say earlier before, it's pretty much a combination of a brother and a sister, like putting their toys together and just trying to play it out.
Yeah, I think so. Is that kind of how you felt about it too?
Yeah.
We read all of them together. I know that I was getting them and I was letting you read my copies. But for this, we're only talking about the 2 stories, Inspire and They Shoot Ponies, Don't They? Which one of those did you like better? Which one of those 2 stories did you like better?
I think I like the Pinkie Pie one a bit more.
Why is that?
It's kind of funny because they were doing a cooking show with Pinkie Pie and Gage, and then they were rudely interrupted by a battle, but Pinkie Pie and Gage, they both used kitchen supplies for fighting, like frying pans.
Yeah. You like that one more because it was funnier?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, that's fair. Do you like Pinkie Pie more than you like Spike?
That's actually really hard to say. I don't know.
How much did you really get into My Little Ponies?
I don't know. I think I was really interested in the TV shows. I was real crazy. I think I was really liking them when I was a bit younger because that's when I was watching a lot of those. But recently I haven't been watching much of the TVs in the morning, stuff like that.
How much do you remember? Do you remember having a favorite My Little Pony character?
I don't think so. I don't really recall that. I just really likes them all. Sometimes.
Okay, what was there any part of either one of these stories that really stood out to you the most, or that you really laughed or really thought was really cool?
One of the parts that I laughed at was the Pinkie Pie one.
Yeah.
At the end, she and Gage had to eat each other's food. In my mind, I was seeing an image of them realizing that the other one wasn't looking, and then they both spit it out. Blah.
Let's talk a little bit about the first story. What did you think about how Spike and Grimlock interacted, and especially how Spike looked up to Grimlock and Grimlock gave him a compliment? What did you think of all that?
I thought it was quite cute because Spike sometimes sees him. I kind of recall this from the TV show. Spike sees himself probably, as a friend and as probably an assistant for Twilight, but he's still like a young dragon, and so he doesn't really fit in that much. So it kind of gives him his chance to think big, even though he's small in this issue.
Okay, that's fair. What about the artwork? Did you like the artwork?
Yeah, it looked a lot like... Okay, I know I haven't seen much Transformers, but to me it looked kind of like normal Transformers thing in a normal My Little Pony.
So it looks like the cartoons.
Yeah, it looks almost as if they were meant to be drawn together.
Well, that's good. That means that it makes you realize that they're in the same world, right?
Yes.
Cool. Is there anything else that you really want to talk about those issues?
Not really.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome.
I love you.
Love you too.
Gary, always with the good insights. I know, those cupcakes look pretty good to me, too.
And you're right, Carrie. It would have been a lot easier reading the actual hard copy, but I had to let you read this on electrical device because Jeff hasn't given me back my comics.
9/10 of the law.
While Jeff and I continue to argue about this, John and Maggie, why don't you go ahead and tell the world about your wonderful shows that you're on?
You can check us out if you like Transformers talk. We do, among other shows, we do the Rod Pod, in which we cover the IDW Transformers Phase 2 comics in order. We've had been on a hiatus with them, but we're about to get back into those. Fans of Shockwave will like what's coming up. People that are wondering who the hell Overlord is that I'm scared of will find that out soon. There's that in addition to our Married with Comics and Married Watching Cartoons feeds that all fall under the MWC banner. Just point your podcatchers at any of those terms, you'll find us. Otherwise, Maggie and I also do Transformers talk over on the Longbox Crusade,
also known as Transformers Chronicles.
We do Transformers talk over on the Longbox Crusade on Transformers Chronicles, the Marvel years.
Hi, Dalvin.
Yes, a young couple in love talking about comic books and podcasting.
No.
Yes. I'm also on Twitter at MWC_podcast.
And I am at Maggie and the Rain.
And these two are wonderful people, and you should definitely check out their shows because they know their stuff. They really do.
Except the Transformers who make up Defensor, which I clearly don't know.
We only can hold so much knowledge in our little brains at one time.
Okay, there's
True,
Rook.
it's very true.
There's First Aid. There's Blade.
Hot Shot. There's Whirl. No, that's the...
Rosa. All I know is he's a helicopter.
Whirl's a
Anyway,
different helicopter. But
be sure to check out the other shows that we're on. We do some junior agent submissions on the MI6 Rogue Agent episodes of On Her Majesty's Secret Podcast, and you can also check out my amazing show that everybody here has been on, actually, monthly Monday Movie Muckabout on the Longbox Crusade Network.
And we have some merchandise available on Redbubble. Go to redbubble.com and search for Unpacking the Power of Power Pack.
Jeff and Rick Present is a bi-weekly self-produced podcast recorded in front of a live studio audience of one Devastator toy in Portland, Oregon, and Wisconsin. If you'd like to interact with us through the magic of the internet, you could do so through Twitter at Jeff and Rick Present, our Facebook page, Jeff and Rick Present, our email address, jeffandrickpresent, all one word at gmail.com, or our website, jeffandrickpresent.wordpress.com. Also, our YouTube channel is at Jeff and Rick Present.
And if you would like to help support our show, we are on Patreon. You can find us at patreon.com, Jeff and Rick Present. All one word. We are also a proud supporter of the Hero Initiative, and we will be donating 10% of our Patreon donations to this great cause. We encourage everyone to give what they can to this worthwhile organization that helps the creators who provide us with such great content. Go to heroinitiative.org to find out more.
Please rate and review us wherever you can. Tell your friends about us or share your love for us on social media.
And as always, we want to thank the powerful people in our packs.
My wife, Cindy, and our daughter, Carrie.
My fiancée, Hillary, and our daughter, Aurora.
My wonderful husband, John.
My wonderful wife, Maggie. My daughter, Carlson.
We
love you.
Until next time.
Costumes off.
Our theme music is 80s Action by Kevin McLeod at Compotech.com and is licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 4.0 license.
Equilibrium. And this is my daughter. Hi, babe. You are Aurora. Hey, we're going to take a little tiny. Do you want to say hi to John and Maggie?
Hi, John. Hi,
Here, I'll unplug that so you can hear them for a second. But remember when
John.
Hello.
Hi,
I like your shirt.
I like your shirt too.
Yeah.
it's as on brand as this beer is.
Hello.
I like your shirt.
I like your shirt too.
Seriously, I was like, isn't that the name of it? Nope, that's Mix-a-Lot. Yep.
Yeah.
They both like big butts, though. So they're easily confused.
Yeah, his is, I like big buckets of cement.
And I cannot lie.
Yeah.
Programmed that way. Hello.
I like your shirt.
I like your shirt too.
Sorry, just had a poor accident where the beer went.
Aha.
I'm like, no, it's gonna be what I'm gonna live with.
Hello.
I like your shirt.
I like your shirt too.
Okay, since I had to start all over, where do you guys live in Minnesota?
On the Wisconsin side of it.
Okay.